Hello everyone, and let's talk about the future, shall we? We'll talk about the future of SWTOR, also going to talk about the future of this channel. Now, we are about, what, 6 weeks away, just slightly more, 6.5 weeks, say, away from the launch, or at least the early access launch of, which is the launch, really, because everyone who's going to be a subscriber is going to get it, and it's free for, well, they say free, it's included in your subscription. It's not free for subscribers, it's included in your subscription. But Knights of the Fallen Empire launches, again, it launches in 6.5 weeks time. So, what is the future? What does it hold for the channel? Bear in mind, we do cover a lot of PvE things, and PvE is taking a huge backseat in the next expansion. It is going to be more about story. Now, for our main, I've narrowed it down to 2, okay? For our main character, it's either going to be the Guardian or the Vanguard. I'm convinced myself I'm going melee. Okay, I'm going melee this expansion. Fuck it. I want to see what they do. I want to see how the fights work as melee. Okay, whether we'll be raiding, whether we're doing progression, again, not sure. Again, not fully committed on that yet. Okay, but we've got 6.5 weeks to decide. I don't know whether I want to focus on progression or, which rules me out of being a tank, really, if I'm unsure. So we're probably going to be DPS. We're going to be DPSing either way. But yeah, so that does kind of, because you can't sort of half commit as a tank, really. You got to be fully committed if you're a tank. Would have been a shame, would have maybe liked to tank. Maybe the focus, what I plan on doing is focusing more on the channel, this channel, rather than raiding, because that's what we did in Shadow of Revan. Shadow of Revan, we didn't live stream. Like, we had the choice, we could live stream or do a guild run, and considering our policy between live streaming guild runs, bear in mind, if you remember the times that we did live stream guild runs, the problems that it led to, and eventually we got removed from a guild last time. That was in Hut Cartel. So we made the conscious decision not to stream guild runs. That was my decision that I made. I'm not going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to do that because it was successful. The guild run that we did stream was the angriest stream we've ever done. Really. I showed you the star pass numbers. At least I didn't hide away. You know, I didn't hide and say, oh my god, I'm doing awesome DPS. You saw what happened. But bear in mind, we'd never ever done Bulow or, what was his face? Sword Squadron. Those two, Sword Squadron. Never done them as a DPS before. So that was our first time ever DPSing that you got to see. I showed you that. So, consider that as a little treat there. And the Gunslinger, a class that we universally don't like. There's nothing about the Gunslinger I really like. I don't like that spec, Dirty Fighting, but it's the best spec. You know, it's one of the best specs for those fights. So, you know, you've got to kind of play it in hard mode, and that's one of the things that's kind of annoyed me, really. Shadow of Revan, I think anyone who says that it hasn't been an unmitigated disaster, I haven't found many people who don't think Shadow of Revan was a disaster. That's my opinion. I think it was a huge fucking disaster, personally. Okay, I think everything about it was terrible. We've done a video series. We did this series, Where Did Shadow of Revan Go Wrong? Hopefully they've learned their lessons. Okay, hopefully they've learned those lessons. The biggest problems going forward are going to be that the content is not new. I think that's a big problem. And that's why we're probably going to go melee DPS, generally, next expansion. So we'll probably be raiding not as much as we were before, certainly, but we'll still want to stick around and do a little bit, maybe a little bit of casual progression every now and then. But certainly as a sort of reserve will probably be in the next expansion. That will be really the thing, because I want to focus more, I want to do more live streaming, I want to do more stuff on the channel. Whether it'll be SWTOR, it depends on the quality of 4.0. You know, if it's good, we'll do a lot of SWTOR stuff. If it's not, we'll probably do Fallout 4 or Battlefront. You know, we got Battlefront coming up, so there's plenty of content coming anyway. Kind of on a sort of mini break from SWTOR, not really been playing it that much recently. Just because there's not a lot to do. I mean, last week was, you know, the login, you had the login issues. and the lag issues last week that we had. So they were limited our playtime, really. I've been leveling a priest, and it's fun. I like the priest. I like the holy priest. Really like that holy priest. Shadow is quite good as well. Can't wait to get to 100 and get the Dauntless style. We're 2 levels away, but I have to sit out for a while because I'm not going to have enough garrison resources to upgrade my garrison to level 3. So that is a big issue. You know, it's a big issue. Of course, we need a level 3 garrison to go to Tanaan Jungle, and you can't go to Tanaan. There's nothing really we want to do at level 100. We don't want to do like fucking High Mall or Blackrock Foundry LFR. That's really our choice. Either that or Heroic Dungeons, which are kind of out of date. We want to go to Tanaan. We want to get into Hellfire Citadel. We want to have a go at that. Maybe try and get into some normal Hellfire Citadels. Maybe. But, you know, it's something to look forward to. So you have to just sit out and kind of wait because your garrison resources generate over time. So we're going to have to wait a few days. I think it's either, is it 2,000 or 3,000? I can't remember. But either way, I'm at 1,100 so far. So I've leveled quite fast because I'm in heirloom gear and I have my 3 warlords crafted 640 pieces that you're allowed. Buy them from the auction house for cheap. Real cheap these days, so that's one of the things that's kind of made us level a lot faster, plus the fact that we've been doing dungeons, because the only way to really test a healer is to do dungeons, really, isn't it? You know, you can't go out in the world and be a healer, really. You gotta go and do some group stuff, so I've been doing that as a healer, and it's a fun class. The Holy Spec has an awesome toolkit. It has one of the best toolkits as a healer that I've ever played in an MMO, I think. And I've played quite a few healers in quite a few games now, but Holy is good. I like it. A lot of people say Discipline is the best spec for the priest, but some people say if you're new and you just want to have fun on the priest, and that's what I am, really. I remember I boosted it, so we boosted it to level, I think we leveled to 45 or something like that, and then we boosted to level 90. So we've missed out on, you know, sort of a few good lot of levels of content there, but you know, we did 55 levels out of the 100, so you know, we did more than half of it. 45, 1 to 45, and then 90 to 100 at least. So yeah, we've done some of the way leveling, but yeah, it is an awesome healer with a fantastic toolkit. That's my opinion on the Holy Priest. But anyway, we'll get back to SWTOR. So hopefully they do. One of the things I really hope that they do is they make flashpoints useful, because flashpoints, I love doing flashpoints. I love doing dungeons in World of Warcraft. I'm a fan of dungeons. I'm a big fan of small group content, especially as a healer. Okay, especially as a healer. And you know, the reason we've not really, we'll do flashpoints as a healer, hard mode flashpoints in the next expansion, but we're not maining a healer. And the reason we're not maining a healer is simply because we've been there and done that. Okay, I've done all of the content as a healer, and I kind of want a new challenge. I kind of want to be melee, because I don't want to be ranged and start cheesing things from a distance. I don't like that. Melee, you're in the fight, you're in the thick of the action. It's more dangerous, and therefore it should be more rewarding, in my opinion. That's what melee should be. Danger coupled with reward, you know. But couple that danger with reward. That's where I think another area of Shadow of Revan where it did go wrong is, yeah, you had the danger, but there was no real reward because the range could move and cast at the same time. So it kind of made it redundant to be a melee DPS, you know, because you got your commandos channeling their, what is it called, Bolt Storm, while on the go. You know, they could just do things on the go, and they had so much more freedom of movement than you as a melee, and they had... Starts turning into a rant, isn't it, this video? And of course they had the protection of being ranged as well. So again, I like the idea of being a melee. I've never hugely loved being ranged. So we've got 2 choices, which we will narrow down. I'm keeping an open mind. Again, I'm keeping an open mind about that, because we know what BioWare are like with their class balance. And that's another thing where it just went wrong, is class balance. Class balance was horrible in Shadow of Revan. It was basically, if you were a trooper or a bounty hunter, you were okay, regardless of the advanced class that you picked. You were fine. Because, let me tell you, as a healer, Sonic Rebounders was awesome. Okay, Sonic Rebounders was overpowered. As someone who was a healer, when there was a Vanguard in the party, you knew it. Okay, you knew it. You knew we had a Vanguard tank, I think we had a Vanguard DPS at one point. That was the other thing that bothered me about Shadow of Revan, was it was so bad that we just cycled through players. And trying to get good players and trying to get a core raid team, and in the end we've wound up 5 out of 10 hard mode, because it's not raiding anymore. No more progression until the next expansion, because we just can't get people. 4 people signing up for progression. 2 healers, 1 tank, 1 DPS signing up for progression. It's like, yeah, we could maybe go and do TFB story mode or something like that. If we wanted a challenge, you know, do TFB 16-man story mode with 4 of us. Although 2 healers, we're going to hit Enrage a lot with that, I guess. But yeah, there you go. So that's really it. That's what we had the last few weeks. And even last week we had 2 healers sign up and that was it. You know, 2 healers. Let's walk into TOS and, you know, one of us can tank Sword Squadron, they can tank Unit 1, the other one can tank Unit 2. Would be the thing, and we'll see how long we last, really. But yeah, so there's no real progression going on. We ended 5 out of 10, disappointing, the lowest total ever that we've ended with in terms of hard mode. Last time was 9 out of 10. Didn't get Brontes, still haven't got Brontes in HM. Never really wanted to go back, though, to Dread Fortress. Last time, 9 out of 10 hard mode. Didn't raid Nightmare, because of course we kind of left. Never even walked into Dread Fortress or Dread Palace Nightmare, because I was just so burned out with hard mode that I didn't want to do it. In what were we? The other tier we did everything. Can't remember what was it. It was 13, I think it was. 13 out of 13 in the other tier, and in vanilla we were, what were we? Did EV, KP, did ECHM, never did TFB HM though. ECHM cleared that 4 out of 4. Never, well, tried the first boss a couple of times in Nightmare, but never really seriously did it. So progression was good. Never did any progression in Terror from Beyond though, because we kind of changed guilds in that period. Because again, it was a period of kind of fluctuation where people left, and I think in the end you just focused on leveling alts really towards the end of vanilla and into Hut Cartel. So this expansion is the lowest that we've ever made progress on. Obviously we made 10 out of 10 SM, which is pretty easy, but only 5 out of 10. Yeah, we did Underlurker was our best achievement. Underlurker, getting that Underlurker down. Never really got a chance to get the Revanite Commanders. I think we only had about 10, 11 pulls of the Revanite Commanders. Made it to the final phase where everything seemed to go wrong, but we never really got a good shot at that, really. The main problem was the cycling of people. Really, people just left because they didn't like the expansion. That was the problem, is finding replacements for people, because you'd get 2-3 weeks where you just wouldn't do any progression because you didn't have enough people. And trying to find good people was tough, and you'd be surprised, it was DPS that we're struggling to find. So many DPS in the game, but so many DPS that are bad at the game, really, that you would never bring to a progression raid. But yeah, we kind of struggled to find good DPS. And it is a problem trying to find good DPS. It is a real problem. Is the best, trying to find the good ones. And it's not just about damage output, okay? A lot of guilds make this mistake when they're looking for DPS, is they ask for the parse upload on a 5-minute parse on the dummy, and that's it. That's your requirement. You've got to meet, say it's 3.8k or something, or 4k, whatever the requirement is. I don't remember, to be honest, what the requirement is. 4k or something. 4k DPS on the, I think it's like 4k, 4.2k or something to be able to down Underlurker HM. You have to have like 3k. Every DPS has to average about 3.1 or 3.2k, I can't remember, but it's above 3k on the actual Underlurker. But on the dummy, they should be getting at least 4.2 to 4.5k, I think. I think the highest parse is like 5k or something. I haven't been a while since I checked. It's like 5.4k, I think. Something. That is a Virulent Sniper, which is pretty shit on Underlurker, to be honest with you. So it shows you how good parse data is. But a lot of guilds do make that mistake of just requiring the parse data, and if you don't make the number, then if you're above sort of, I think above 3.5k, they will be considered for HM depending on your gear. But again, I think 3.84k plus, you're pretty much guaranteed to get accepted. for most raiding guilds, and I think it's a mistake because the targeting dummy, all it tests is that you know how to press your rotation. That's it. And it's a very small part of being a DPS. It's a very small part of being a damage dealer, should we say, as opposed to DPS, because those bosses in those hard mode ops don't just stand there for 5 minutes, okay? There is stuff going on in those bosses. You're going to have to use defensive cooldowns. You're going to have to work them into your rotation. Defensive cooldowns, there's times when you're going to have downtime on the boss. There's times when you have to be away from the boss, that you can't use your optimal rotation. You can't stand still, for example, if you're a gunslinger and channel Cull. Or was it Cull? Hemorrhaging Blast or whatever the hell it's called. I can't remember what it's called. No, it's not. It's Wounding Shots. That's what it is. You can't get the full duration of that off. There's times when you're never going to get to your DPS potential. Personally, I think a much better test for DPS is to take them to Assault on Titan and tell them, look, you've got to do Assault on Titan in hard mode, and you've got to do the proper tactics. Okay, it's not good enough to link the achievement because you can cheese it and get the achievement, but you've got to do that boss with the tactics, because again, it does require things like movement and positioning. Positioning is everything, especially in Underlurker. Okay, positioning is one of the most important things, because bear in mind the biggest loss of DPS is dying. One of the problems we had as a guild was the DPS trying to eke out as much damage as possible, and yes, you have to do that, but they're dying to the Rage Storm. That was one of the problems we had. We were dying. And bear in mind that if you're dead, even if you're dead for, say, 30 seconds, that's 30 seconds downtime on your DPS. That's a huge loss. That's enraged. That is a wipe. You know, it is a wipe. And if more than one of the DPS, which happened on quite a few occasions, because again, you're trying to meet an average DPS target, because it is important to meet that target, but more important, I'd say, is getting in the position behind those rocks. And, you know, and the difference that, again, a Vanguard made with Sonic Rebounders to DPS was huge. Again, as a healer, I can testify how powerful Sonic Rebounders was, because, you know, when that went off on the cross, it's like, nobody's going to take any damage. I've got my dodge up. Sonic Rebounders is on the entire group. I have maybe 2 or 3 global cooldowns of a window to do DPS. Both healers had that. It made a difference. It did make a difference. You know, I could get a dot up, I can get my vital shot up, I can maybe get a, you know, a couple of, I can maybe get a back blast up when he turns away after the cross is over and we're repositioning. You know, I can get DPS on the boss. I can get not a bludgeon, a pistol whip, blaster whip it's called. I can get one of them on it, and it makes a difference. You do that on every cross. It's not a lot of damage, but it is taking the boss's health down. You know, it is a difference maker. Without a Vanguard, you were healing everybody. It's like, it was a DPS loss for you. A DPS loss for the raid as well, because people were sort of into their defensive cooldowns, and they were using defensive cooldowns rather than using a global cooldown to hit the boss. So that did make a huge difference. You can see the difference that I mean, any role Vanguard we're talking about here, not just a Vanguard tank, but any kind of role. And that was, I think that was one of the core issues with 3.0 was class stacking. Class stacking pissed me off as a scoundrel. Again, we ended up going for a commando for a little bit. You know, we had to, really, because the other healer's a scoundrel, and it's like, you know, one of us has to go and respec, and have someone who's been a mercenary for years. It's like, yeah, I'll do it, because like I know how to play a merc. I played a merc for years, so playing a commando, pretty easy. Again, it was like, I'll volunteer for it, I'll go gear up a commando, and you know, you have to do these things, and I didn't want to do it, of course, but it's like, it helps the raid out, so I'm gonna do it. You know, we mained a merc for years when it was underpowered, and ironically it became overpowered, and then we ended up of course being a scoundrel. We picked the wrong class at the wrong time. We're good at that, you know, that's why I've narrowed it down to 2 in this expansion, in the next expansion anyway, but we'll see how it goes. Again, the future of the channel, we're still going to do content. We're certainly still going to do SWTOR content. The immediate future, we're going to finish the Clash reviews. We've got the Sage review, which will be up actually before this video goes up. We'll check out some other games as well, particularly as other games are released. You know, might do a bit of Halo 5, not sure yet, but definitely be checking out Fallout 4. Definitely checking out Star Wars Battlefront as well. Might might do some. We might do some. A lot of people ask, can you do Battlefront 2 with viewers? We'll do Battlefront 3, the upcoming Battlefront, with viewers, if you want, in a stream, which we'll organise at the time. The beta is coming up in October, so hopefully that's open beta. So we might do something with Battlefront. Haven't decided yet. Depends how good it is, though. And depends, you know, what platform we get it on. Probably get it on PC. Don't know. I mean, I do have an AMD system, and you know, Frostbite Engine tends to run well on the AMD systems because it uses Mantle. So you know, we've got a Mantle card. So again, you take advantage of that. So it should run pretty well. Dragon Age Inquisition runs well, and Battlefield 4 runs well. So hopefully, hopefully we'll get something done with Battlefront. So I'm fairly confident it'll run on my PC. It should run pretty well anyway. So anyway, we've ranted on for 20 minutes now, and that's the future, really. It's uncertain as the future is ever. Future's always uncertain, but plan to stick around. Whether we stick around a lot in SWTOR is going to be dependent on the quality of it. Hopefully it'll be better than Shadow of Revan. I hope that they get this right. Hopefully they've learned their lesson. The only thing that concerns you is they probably started development on Knights of the Fallen Empire before Shadow of Revan came out. So hopefully they've made the adjustments and changes and learned the lessons of Shadow of Revan. But anyway, that is all for this video. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon, and goodbye.